Recording?
Yeah.
We're back.
We're live.
We're live. Gosh, it's been, the last show I did was in February with Boss Rootin', and that was a ton of fun. That actually ended up being a full day. Like, we did the show here, we went and worked out, then we went to dinner, and then we went to Rogan's show. So I spent like from 9 a.m. to midnight with him. And
that's a long time.
The last show I did, yeah. And then we had the Fit Fest, which you guys dominated.
Thank
by
you.
the way. So
yeah.
I should probably introduce my guest today. I have special guests in the house. Andrew Sendejo. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's close.
I have a history of messing up names.
It's all good.
So,
it's not an easy one.
How would you say it?
Sendejo.
Sendejo.
Yeah.
Oh, so I nailed it.
You nailed it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, founder, owner, main boss man of Braintree Nutrition, which I'm really liking this water bottle.
It's solid. I think it's a 40 ouncer.
Yeah.
Check it out on the bottom. Does it say?
Yeah, 40 right there.
Yep.
Perfect. Money. So, yeah, man, I was trying to, I try not to do too much research on people because then I've learned that I'll ask questions that I already know the answers to, and I hate that. But no, I was so pumped to have you on. You know, like I was mentioning, you guys dominated the Fit Fest. I loved it. I thought you guys had the best setup. And
yeah, appreciate it. It was kind of one of our first like Austin events to go to, and so we wanted to make a splash. Tried to, do as much as we could, draw as much attention as we could to bring some awareness to the company, to the products. I actually wasn't even in town for it.
I know.
I booked all the stuff. I got it all set up, got everything squared away. But I had a wedding that obviously I had committed to long before we even decided to do the Fit Fest. And even that was kind of a last second deal. I texted the other two founders and I was like, guys, we have to go to this deal. Like, but I'm not going to be in town. Can y'all facilitate this? Because I'm about to do a bunch of crazy shit. Like, we're getting mannequins.
Yeah.
We're going to have a whole team there.
You have the spin camera.
Yeah, we had the 360 camera. We just tried to make our booth more than just, hey, these are our products. Like, we wanted to make it inviting people to come into the booth, ask questions like, why are there two full-size NFL dressed mannequins? Like, take some pictures, and then also learn about the products, obviously.
No, I thought that was a perfect, I'm going to use that as an example heading into the next Fit Fest of what these booths should be. Because, I've been doing expos for a while, and I feel like a lot of these companies come in and they just think it's to sell. And it could, I want them to sell. I want them to, make money. But a lot of it, they have to understand, is about exposure. And it's about, building leads, connecting with a new customer base, things like that. And the way you do that is you have a booth that stands out. You get in your interactive, and you guys nailed it. It was so fun.
I mean, I think for me, if it was me going there, I'd want to go to the booth that has other activities going on, like you said, other activations that are drawing you in outside of the, because when you get in the booth, they're gonna pitch you and sell you on the product. So just making it fun, and obviously trying to get more attention to our booth than others. If you're looking at this booth and all they have is, two sales reps there versus our booth that has all this other crazy shit going on, you're going to naturally kind of gravitate there. So,
and the really cool thing that you guys were doing was you were interacting with other booths there.
Yeah, we had enough people there to kind of send some of the troops out. I know the other two founders, they were kind of, bouncing around, talking to other people, networking. But a lot of good feedback from the event. So
that was a blast.
Yeah,
it was way bigger than the first year. I'm so excited for year 3, and I'm sure we'll have some announcements heading into the new year. But right now, I've just been chilling, and relaxing.
That's good. I'm sure that's a lot to get that all set up.
I'm a perfectionist, so that's like the good and bad side of it. Is I want to make sure everything runs as smooth as possible, and so I burn myself out going the extra mile, but it's always worth it, and it's fun when I get to meet new people. It's how we met. It's actually crazy that this is the first time we've met in person.
Right.
We've talked so many times before, and, I just like doing cool things for people. I like doing those cool events. I want something to have value. So yeah, it's always kind of fun. And
I think for us as a vendor there, we appreciated your responsiveness, being able to just text somebody or get a hold of somebody right away versus I feel like a lot of those events, you're just kind of getting run around. Okay, call this person, and then there's a disconnect of communication of like what actually needs to happen. So no, it was good. I had a very clear path on what to do, what some of the rules were, and some of the permits and stuff like that. So it was easy for me because I wasn't there to communicate that with the rest of the team, so that everything kind of went smooth.
Yeah, no, I mean, it did go smooth. Everyone was great. The crowd was great. We had about 1,000 more people than we did the first year, and the vendors were awesome. But yeah, man, overall it was great, and it got me excited and more intrigued by Braintree. And I didn't realize the variety of products you guys have. But before getting into Braintree and how it started, I think it's important for people watching to kind of get the background on you and how your past, and especially in athletics and football, led you into Braintree. And so, I guess really, like, are you originally from Texas, right?
Yep. From right outside of San Antonio. I went to Smithson Valley High School, which is out in the Spring Branch, Boulevardy area. And then out of college, I went to Rice for undergrad, played football there for 4 years. Then I went undrafted, went and played in the United Football League, which isn't even around anymore. So it was kind of like one of those developmental leagues. And it was crazy because that was 2010. Dante Culpepper was my quarterback.
Really?
Dennis Green was the head coach. So they made that league.
Culpepper's still playing in 2010?
Yeah, he was like at the end of his NFL career. So they made that league for, just like most of these developmental leagues, a place to where guys that just got released from NFL teams, coaches that just got fired, or guys like me that didn't get drafted to have a place to play, as opposed to going to Canada. Because Canadian football is not normal NFL 11 on 11. There's a lot of different rules. So it was all NFL coaches, NFL schemes, and it was in America. So it was the best fit for me, versus going to Canada. So I played there. They have a shorter season. It was like an 8-game season. I got picked up out of there because the season ended in November. Got picked up out of there to the Cowboys in 2010, and that was my rookie year, technically.
How was that, coming back home? And
yeah, so coming out of the UFL, it's funny how it all worked out, but I was either going to sign with Minnesota or Dallas. And obviously, if you're from Texas, like, you're going to sign with Dallas. And actually, the depth at safety there, I had a better chance of sticking. Minnesota had some more veterans. And so then I go through training camp with Dallas 2011. Was going to get signed to the practice squad. The Jets claimed me off waivers. So I go to the Jets for like a month. They release me, do a couple workouts with some teams, and then got signed by Minnesota in 2011. And then I was there for most of my career. So I was there for 9 years. Then I went to Cleveland in 2020 and then Indianapolis in 2021. So my first year and a half was like fucking all over the place. Crazy. Yeah. Like, my mom, she suggested I get like a little RV or just like a camper. And she's like, just fucking like park in the parking lot of the team and just sleep there. Like, it's too hard to try to, find all these different places to live. But that's kind of the typical story of most undrafted free agents. Yeah. Like, you kind of journey for a little bit until you find your home, and then hopefully you stick there for a long time. I was very fortunate to play for one team for a majority of my career. It just allows you to build more memories, build more relationships, versus if you play 12 years, but you were going to a new team every 2 years, you don't really have a lot of time with guys to really bond and form a lot of memories. So, was fortunate to play for as long as I did. And that's kind of how, Braintree started to form. So another one of my teammates at Rice, he also played in the NFL, Scott Solomon. And, we were big nutrition supplement guys, even when we were at Rice. Yeah. And so while we were playing, there weren't a lot of products out there to help with like all the TBIs and concussions, things like that. Like, there were, but there wasn't many like nootropics like this. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff with blends, and you don't really know what the hell is in there. So we knew we wanted to get into the supplement space, but we wanted to find something that guys could take that would help them. The NFL also is really strict on their ADHD, like, prescription medication, as far as the rules, so that if you don't have a they call it a TUE, a therapeutic use exemption. If you don't have that through the NFL, you can't take an Adderall. So it's a whole deal. But basically, they're really strict on prescribing Adderall to guys. So we also wanted to make something to help guys focus, remember plays. Obviously, like you're out there in the heat of the game, and like you have to react fast. You have to be able to, your memory recall has to be almost like instantaneously you can't think about, you don't have time to think about shit. Otherwise, they're going to score a touchdown. So we kind of just started to address all these different facets of brain health. So the nootropic and the neuroprotective side of that, obviously getting hit in the head all the time. And then the gut-brain connection. So we wanted to make a ultra-strength probiotic with the correct strains that are studied, that we know actually work. A lot of probiotics out there are using strains that actually don't have any like evidence to show that they work. And then just obviously all the studies about how the gut and the brain talk to each other, how it's linked to degenerative brain disease, your gut health. And then just kind of like things that also affected us playing football. Like you're under a lot of stress, right? So we wanted to create like a badass adaptogen stress and anxiety relief. And so we have our ashwagandha, L-theanine, L-tyrosine, rhodiola, all stuff that's like clinically studied that, there's studies out there you can find that shows that it's proven to be effective to work. And then obviously our sleep aid,
which is like the most important.
Right. Yeah. Like it's, I always like initially people are like, which one should I take? And I'm like, obviously you should take all of them. That's why we made them. But the things I would focus on, I'd be like, I would take the sleep first, like out of anything. And then I would say take our nootropic, our brain enhancer. And those are obviously like kind of the more popular areas anyways. Like everyone wants to be able to focus, to like clear the brain fog. And then they also want to be able to like fall asleep right away at night. And so,
well, it's perfect that you made that. I just had this conversation about, a lot of people now are self-diagnosing themselves with like ADHD, and they don't understand that, the world moves so fast nowadays that it's hard to keep up with just in general. It doesn't necessarily mean you have ADHD, but then what they do is they take a lot of these, like more like Adderall based, like pharmaceutical, based drugs. And then that creates a lot of long-term problems for them when there are nootropics, things like this that, I used to say back when I worked at supplements that they're supplements, not substitutes.
Right.
They're meant to supplement what you're already producing, what you're, help alleviate a lot of the stress, things like that. And a lot of people are so impatient.
Yeah. And no, we do live in a world of now. Like I need to feel it now. And I would say that's probably one of the harder parts of having a pill product is when you're trying to sample it out to people. It's not like an electrolyte product where they can try it right there. They know if they like it. They know if it tastes good. It's like, hey, you have to try this. Like, and then you have to wait to feel the effects. And a lot of times you have to take the data over the course of like a week or 2 weeks. Like if you just take it one time, it's going to be hard to know, like, did it actually work? You could take it over the course of a week or 2 weeks. You can look back and kind of, take notes on like, okay, yeah, this week, like I definitely had better energy. I felt better. I slept better. My workouts were better, all those things. So that's kind of probably one of the biggest challenges when you have, a product like that. But yeah, it's been a fun journey. Been working through it, and then as you can see here too is the brain water. Obviously, just still tying in all the like the focus element here and the brain health element. And so we just saw a need for a better electrolyte product right now. A lot of people are just drinking these sugar packets, or they're drinking packets that are just full of table salt, and they're missing some key electrolytes. And we wanted to add some other ingredients to help with cognitive function. So added some choline bitartrate, L-tyrosine, and taurine, just to help with the cognitive benefits, help with the physical stamina. So a more robust ingredient profile. It tastes good, sugar-free, caffeine-free, kind of a great way to kickstart your day, kind of get the brain and the body both fueled up, ready to go for the day. So those have been doing really well. Excited about that product. Going to continue to launch some more formulas with that, more flavors with that. And yeah, just continuing to try to provide products that can help people feel better, to improve brain health, overall wellness. And that's, these are things that I wish I had my whole playing career.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've obviously suffered a lot of concussions. My very last play of my NFL career was me getting completely knocked out. And since then, you know, taking these products have helped me to kind of get my brain kind of back to normal again. I had really bad vertigo. I was just, you know, dizzy a lot, you know, memory, focus, kind of brain fog. And so, you know, after years of just getting hit in the head, I've been able to you know, basically like get my brain back to where it was before, at least try to give it the nutrients it needs to be able to, you know, live a better life, to focus better, clear the brain fog.
Not spending most of your day trying to
battle so
that.
It's and so that's, you know, and that's why we picked the ingredients that we picked. We actually, so my co-founder, his mom is our neurologist on our medical advisory team. So she, you know, we work directly with them to kind of bounce all the studies off of, right? So a lot of those studies, if you're just a normal human, some of those are hard to understand. Like there's a lot of jargon in there that if you don't know how to read it correctly, you're not actually sure if what you're reading. So that's what's great about having, you know, doctors like basically on your staff, is that you can send these to them and have them interpret them in layman's term for you. Like, hey, is this actually saying that this is going to help with this? So that's why we picked the ingredients we did, because we're able to back them all on clinical studies on humans. A lot of like, you know, registered trademarked ingredients, as you can see here, like even on the brain water, like using like the Trax Magnesium, Zinmax, Calci K, you know, obviously in our nootropic, Alpha GPC, Serenade, all the
GPC.
Yeah, all the ones that we know for sure work, which is why we wanted to pay a premium to have better ingredients in there, because we, like you said, we weren't out there to, like most companies, we feel like they're out there just to try to make as much money as we can. Yeah. You know, the guys that started this, we were already in a position to where we didn't need it to pay the bills. You know, It was like, we want to make something that actually works, that to help us. Like, I give this stuff to my mom, I give it to my family. You know, obviously we have to make money on it to like continue we are a for-profit business, but to continue to make better formulas, better products. But, you know, we're not out there trying to, you know, just have these crazy margins and make as much money as we can off of it. So
no, I got my whole start in everything I do in supplements. And the one thing I really like is the transparency. I know we talked about that earlier, but I think what kind of stands out is you're also a customer of your own product. And, you know, it's what I've learned is that it's almost a lot more like trustworthy, for at least for me as a customer, when I see someone that, you know, not only is they're not just selling something, like they're, you know, they've had the experience, whether it's, you know, playing football, things like that. They have the brain fog, you know, they're not just like, here's our product, here's why it's the best. It's like, here's why it helped me, and here's what the struggles I went through. And, you know, the transparency of it is awesome. I love, like we were talking about earlier, how you'll challenge other, you know, competitive brands and be like, you know, I got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a good sign of integrity and honesty. And those are things I look for in any company, you know, because the old saying is like, innocence does not fear investigation. You know, that's kind of how I look at products as well too. It's like, if you got nothing to hide, then, you know, show me everything.
Right. Yeah. And we do pride ourselves on, you know, being transparent on the label. We want you to see what you're getting. It's also for us to show you, like, this is why our product is better formulated. Like, here it all is. There's no blend here. You know exactly how much you're getting. Yep. You can go take that amount. You can go look it up. Does this amount work? Versus a lot of brands out there, it's hidden in a blend. I understand there's obviously reasons for that too. Yeah. But for us, like I said, we just wanted, like, here's a good product. This is what's in it. Like, I've been taking it. That's kind of how part of why we started too, was because we were taking all these ingredients separately. And then we were like, shit, like, we need to put these together. And so that's when we started working with the team, the medical team, to like, hey, like, what's the best formula for these in the certain amounts? And like I said, I've been taking it since, you know, at the end of my career and since I retired. And it's been very beneficial for me to, you know, kind of feel normal again, versus before I was just very foggy all the time after my, you know, kind of like career ending concussion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I played football, I just remember, on top of always being exhausted and tired, like, the amount of hits I was taking every day, I couldn't even focus. I'd be in class, I'd be like, I don't know what we're talking about. I don't even know if I'm in the right classroom, you know, things like that. So, in the other cool thing that I saw that you do is you're not, you know, only promoting a good product, but you're also helping out, you know, the younger generation coming up. And I saw that you guys just did a really cool deal with the Rice team, you know, where you kind of got your start.
Yeah, we try to, you know, we try to give back wherever we can. Obviously, the three founders were all Rice football alumni. And actually, when the Rice football team built their new end zone complex, I was able to get the naming rights for the Andrew Sendejo Nutrition Center.
Oh,
so just to kind of solidify my future child's scholarship there, it was kind of more of an investment there too.
No, it was great. I mean, the whole NIL trade has been a very interesting thing, like for me to watch, from going from playing to like seeing these guys get, you know, paid now. It's, I don't know, it's like there's a lot of pros and cons to it, but it's things like that I enjoy, where it's like, you guys, are you the first company to do that for a whole team?
For the whole Rice football team, I know like at some of the other larger schools, they've had some team-wide deals, but it was a great way for us to help Rice football, to help us. Like basically everyone wins. You know, we weren't at a point in this company to just write checks.
Yeah.
But we were able to find a way to get a deal where everyone has a chance to earn money, like on the side. In college, if you're getting an extra $100 a month, like
everything.
that's huge. I remember when I was there, I was like, if I just had like $50 more, I'd be fine.
Yep.
And so helps with the Rice Collective, Rice Recruiting, helps with you know, obviously the business, and just a way to give back. But yeah, also we, you know, outside of that, we donate a portion of our proceeds from every sale to Alzheimer's research. So just continuing to try to help prevent degenerative brain disease, and, you know, trying to help out wherever we can, even in the local community. This past summer, we were able to send 10 families to the Austin 4th of July fireworks show from the Austin Sunshine Camps. So Braintree Nutrition was able to donate that. And then obviously still tying in with Rice football, we donate 10 season tickets to Rice football, every home Rice football game, to inner city kids in Houston. So just always kind of continuing to give back in ways that we can, you know, wherever we can.
No, that's awesome. Those are things that, you know, me personally, I look for in companies. Whenever I like being around people and, you know, companies, and, you know, whether they go hand in hand, that just like doing cool stuff for people, you know, that try to give back. And, you know, you were saying you donate a portion of proceeds to Alzheimer's research. Have you guys used any of these products yet with anyone that has it? Have you seen any results? Have you done anything like that?
We have not done anything like directly with someone with Alzheimer's. Not yet. It's I'm sure that there's probably some, you know, stricter kind of medication protocols for someone with full diagnosed Alzheimer's. But definitely, you know, a lot of the ingredients, the studies have shown that they can, you know, we can't come out and say like this will prevent Alzheimer's, but a lot of these ingredients, you know, will help to prevent a lot of these degenerative brain disease, and just reduce your, you know, your cognitive decline as you age. Like I said, like I give it to my mom, my dad, my family, just to try to help out wherever I can.
And what products do you have right now? I know you guys are still kind of in, you know, infancy stage, but I mean, you guys are blowing up. I see it everywhere now. So we have our, that's our nootropic and our neuroprotection, the brain enhancer. That one loaded with alpha GPC, serenade. Like those are kind of the two main ingredients. The blueberry fruit extract is where we get that like anti-inflammation, antioxidant properties for the brain. Then we have our gut health, ultra strength probiotic that we talked about. And then the blue one here, this is our adaptogen stress and anxiety relief. We have the KSM ashwagandha, KSM 66 ashwagandha, clinically studied. Obviously, has a ton of, I mean, the benefits of that are, it's like I always say it's like a Swiss Army knife, that and L-tyrosine. And then we obviously have the L-theanine in here for the calming effect, but without the sedation.
Also has some nootropic benefits as well, the L-theanine. And then the sleep aid, we get a ton of good feedback on that, just because of the mix with like the lemon balm and the lavender. Then we have the tart cherry extract, which again has a ton of different benefits, from muscle recovery to releasing your natural melatonin, and then also just putting in a appropriate amount of melatonin in here. A lot of people are taking way too much melatonin, whether it's like 5 to 10 grams. They have crazy dreams, or they wake up groggy. So this one, like I said, we've got a ton of good feedback of people like being able to fall asleep quickly, stay asleep throughout the night, wake up feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, not having that like morning grogginess hangover. And there's also, like you said, like the tart cherry extract. There's some benefits for muscle recovery as well. So that one we get a lot of good feedback on that. And so we kind of make this like our whole little stack right here. You know, for me personally, like in the morning, I'll take this big 40-ounce bottle. I'll put one of each flavor brain water in there, because you go all night without drinking any water. So you wake up, you haven't drank any water for, 7 to 9 hours, depending on how much you slept.
So dry.
So, just a great way to, what'd you find?
I don't know what that was.
We had a random Siri pop in.
Hey, me.
She's always not doing her job.
She's always listening.
Yeah.
We get 10 ads now for Braintree. Get home.
But yeah, so like I said, these are all things that, like you said, like I'm a customer of my own product, and that's why we made a lot of this stuff, because we know it's good, we know it's worked. And so, like I said, like in the morning, I'll start with 2 brain waters, 40 ounce, chug it, get all those electrolyte levels back to balance, and with the nootropic benefits, the L-tyrosine, just kind of like replenishing the brain and the body immediately upon waking before you get to your caffeine source. A lot of people wake up, they're dragging ass, they go straight to a coffee or straight to an energy drink or whatever, and that's just like the absolute worst thing you can do.
Yeah, wasn't Huberman just talking about that too?
He talks about everything.
Yeah.
Like starting with that, and then I'll start with like our brain enhancer and our gut health. And I'll take those like first thing in the morning, just to kind of like, that's my morning productivity hack. Like if I want to like get right to it in the morning, I got to get right on my computer, which obviously being a football player for so long, like being on my laptop and doing work is not something that I'm used to. So I really have to lock in with that. Or if you find me just fighting for my life in an Excel sheet, I'll also need to take all this. And then I really love the stress and anxiety relief in the afternoon, kind of that 2:30 feeling. It just kind of gives me like a boost to kind of get me going through the rest of the day, but without having to take another caffeine source, right? Like, you don't want to take caffeine that late, 'cause it's going to affect your sleep. So I'll usually take that in the afternoon, and depending on, this summer when it was hotter than shit, I would probably take another brain water. And then obviously, I'll take the sleep aid like, around like 9 o'clock or so before I go to bed.
What's the serving size too?
Yeah, they everything is 2 capsule serving size, which is another thing. Like some products, they're like, we have everything in here, and I'm like, yeah, but the serving size is 7 capsules.
Yeah,
like nobody's gonna fucking take that.
Yeah, that's too much. Yeah, I try not to, because like I have one of those like vitamin like capsule things, and I just don't want it to be so full. Like I want like a really a simple supplement regimen. So
right.
I mean,
and we'll continue to roll out more. Obviously, there's other areas we need to, other products that also help with brain health that we will continue to roll out. But this is where we started, and excited about, new developments, new products, new studies on new ingredients. So that's always fun. Just learning. I've learned so much, even going through our own products, going through the studies, reading about it. It makes me even more confident of why we put it in there, and learning about the benefits of it. And so, just that's been my journey post football. It takes up most of my time. Have a lot of other stuff going on as well, but
what else are you working on?
Oh shit!
I mean, what else could you have possibly time for? This is
I don't. I mean, outside of this, we have me and a couple of guys that I know, we're opening up, just like a high end kind of cocktail bar, club lounge,
our style.
So I don't have to do a ton on that, but every now and then, have to do some stuff for that.
That's gonna be here in Austin.
Yeah, I'll be here in Austin.
I love a good little cocktail
Yeah,
dive bar.
yeah, it'll
Like,
be yeah, it'll
feel
be
like-
it'll be pretty like upscale. It'll be the build out is going to be beautiful. That's why it's been taking so long because it's like we just keep kind of upgrading, you know, the interior. So it'll be different than kind of your typical like bar, but not club. It's going to be this little hybrid area. So
well, and how old are you?
I'm 36.
Yeah. So I just turned 31, and we were talking about this where I feel like you just get to a point where you prefer kind of like a chill environment, like the chaotic bar. Like I enjoy going out. I enjoy having a good drink. I enjoy sitting and socializing, but I cannot, like, it's harder and harder every time to be in a chaotic atmosphere, which is dominates the
I think the
market.
one that gets me is I can't stand not being able to hear anything, and my voice doesn't travel very well. So I have to scream for people to hear me, and then I wake up the next day, my voice is gone. So yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather go somewhere nice and quiet. You know, obviously we all have those times where you get a little wild hair and you kind of need to to get it out, but yeah, it's something a little more classy, a little more upscale. I'm also part of the Rice mentorship program where they pair you up with like a student athlete, and y'all just kind of, you know, work through different things like, you know, what do they want to do after school? Do they want to play professionally? Do they want to, you know, just go right into the workforce? Do they want to start a business? All these different things. So do a little bit of that.
Wish I would have had that.
Yeah.
I went the JUCO route. So yeah, I was trying to go to Boise, but that's when they had like a super team. I was like, no, that's never going to happen. So I ended up in Butte College in Chico, and then transferred down to Sacramento. I was at the little city college there.
That's where my UFL team was, the Sacramento Mountain Lions. Played at Sac State.
Okay, yeah, I lived down the street from Sac State. I was but I went to Sac City with like the big arena and where the soccer team played.
I don't remember shit.
Yeah, dude, I was there for a semester before I was like, I don't think I'm playing football anymore. And yeah, but I mean, I didn't have any of that. Like that would have been nice to have a mentor, someone to walk me through and, you know, help me, because I've had to figure out everything as I've gone. So, you know, and that kind of comes back to what I'd mentioned earlier about NILs.
Avatar isn't a diet. It's not a cleanse, detox, or shortcut. It's a revolutionary new way of eating. With Avatar, nutrition is tailored specifically for you. You'll check in every week to update us on your progress, and the system changes your nutrition to match. With simple goals to hit, you're right on track every week for sustainable, unstoppable progress. Tracking your diet becomes part of your lifestyle. You enter what you eat, and Avatar counts the protein, carbs, and fat. The macros count down with every meal, and all you have to do is zero them out. We make it simple. No matter how hectic your day gets, Avatar lets you stay flexible. You can eat what you want. As long as you hit your targets, you'll still reach your goal. No system is easier to use. And you're not in it alone. Real people are ready to answer your questions whenever you need. Our community is thousands strong and growing. Whether you're 18 or 80, whether you're ready or not, we've got your back. This isn't a diet. This is a way of life. Eat what you want. Feel great about it. Period. Forever starts here. Welcome to the revolution.
What do you think of that? Do you think that's good for a lot of these players, or do you think it's bad? Because I had a really good discussion about it where I was saying, like, we're talking about a friend of mine, we were talking about Caleb Williams, the guy at UFC who's going to skip going to the draft because he can make more. And he was saying he can make more in NIL. And my buddy's disagreement.
I don't know about that.
That's what Caleb said. I don't know. I don't know the details behind it, but he was saying that, do you think guys, and I thought this was a good question, guys that are like starters that have these big NIL deals should still be on scholarship? And I was like, that's a good question. I'll ask someone who's actually been through the process versus.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think the scholarship is separate from the NIL.
Because they can afford to pay for school then.
Yeah. But it's kind of one of those things. It's like, well, just because you can afford it, like, why would I take this away? Like, you earned that extra NIL money as well because you are such a good player, and, all the hard work that you've done. So yeah, I think there are, there are some good things that come out of the NIL deals. To me, I like it for college kids because if they can scrap up enough kind of extra money, when they graduate, they aren't forced to go just find any job because they're like, shit, I need to start paying the bills. Like, I have to go find a job. Like, I don't really love this job, but like, I'll take it anyways just because I need a job. So to me, I feel like it allows them to kind of have some time after college to live off of that savings, so to speak, and kind of figure out what they actually want to do.
One of the things I like about it too is it helps players actually finish school. I've noticed that, like, I don't know if it's true or not, but I had heard that quarterback for Texas, Quinn Ewers, and this could be totally bullshit. This could just be people talking, but he was going to try to get out ASAP because apparently his family was struggling, all that. And then the NIL things kicked in. He was able to like take care of himself and his families and stuff.
Sounds like a pretty good PR spin.
So, yeah.
But I don't actually know either.
I don't know if it's true or not. It could be total bullshit. But that was a good example though, because I do know a lot of guys that have tried to jump straight into the league when they should have waited and they never made it. And then now they're out of school and jobless, and
yeah, and that's kind of another part of the transfer portal is some of these kids, they go into the transfer portal assuming that they're going to get picked up right away by another college, and they never do. And then they're essentially a free agent the rest of their life. And they got no degree, and they don't have a scholarship. They're not getting that scholarship money anymore, all because probably someone in their family was in their ear saying, hey, like, you need to transfer, like, you're not playing here, you go to this school, and so I always, it's hard to say because there's some guys that probably have transferred and it's worked out for them, right? And they were able to play, maybe get drafted, get some more NIL money, whatever. There's some guys that have just been bouncing around every year like it's a free agency every single year. I think, too, just from a, kind of a personal standpoint is, if you're jumping from school to school every year, like, how the hell do you ever make any college friends or college memories? Yeah. Like, part of college is like you get this group of your boys, you'll have all these kind of, funny college stories that you look back on, these memories, these friends. And if you're just transferring every year, I'm sure you meet a lot of people, but you never have the time to really bond and get to know anybody. So
it's good that you said that, because I don't think people understand that enough, how important like having that camaraderie is with a team. And if you're bouncing around, not only does it look like you're like almost like not a quitter, but just entitled, where it's like, oh, if they're not gonna give me the validation I want, then I'm out. Like, who wants to play with that guy?
Yeah.
And when I was at the JUCO level, there were dudes that would just quit the team. Like, and it was insane to me to watch the entitlement, because I was desperate. Like, I wanted to play so bad, and I was probably playing for the wrong reasons. I just wanted to prove everyone I could do it. But it was crazy to me how these talented dudes would just, I don't need this. Like, and the way they backtalk, like, I'm sure you've watched Last Chance U.
I have actually not watched that. I've heard it's great.
Oh, it's so funny. And it's so accurate, though, because you need coaches like that like will scream at a player and do all that. To me, that was normal. I don't know what the outrage was behind it. Like Coach Brown from I think it's the third season, he was gnarly. Like, he was so brutal. But it was like, that's what these guys need. A lot of these guys come in and they just think that they know everything, and that because they're talented athletes that they can just walk over the program. And
I was lucky that, I went to a high school that was, literally like Friday Night Lights. Like, when Friday Night Lights came out when I was in high school, I was watching it thinking, I'm literally already doing this. Like, I'm living this. So people ask me all the time, like, "Do you ever watch Friday Night Lights?" I'm like, "Motherfucker, I lived it. Like, I was actually doing Friday Night Lights." And so we had a lot of old school coaches, man. They were like, yes sir, no sir, like a couple of Marines on the staff, like very, hardcore, but never cussed, classy, a classy group. And that was really kind of the foundation of my football career was, I was fortunate to go to a school like that really kind of established that foundation for, how to play football like the right way. very hard-nosed kind of mentality, old school, like I said. And yeah, they were on us. They yelled at us. They never motherfucked us, you know. But once you got to college, then I started getting motherfucked all the time. And then I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I'm not in high school anymore. And then all the way through the NFL, we got yelled at, you know. And it's such an interesting dynamic because you have these coaches yelling at you that are making like 1/4 of the money you're making. So you have like someone that's like older than you, in charge of you, but they know that like in this weird way that like you kind of have this kind of upper hand on them a little. I don't know. But yeah, even your coaches, when you're like a grown man, will still yell at you, motherfuck you, and you know, all those things. So I think I'm fortunate for that too, because that kind of gave me an edge, you know, kind of calloused me in a sense to where, you know, I'm not sensitive. You can be very critical of me. You know, as an athlete, you're very critical of yourself. You're always analyzing yourself, analyzing every single move you make. How do you look? What's your body posture like? Like, was I running weird? Did I even look athletic? Like, you're very, you know, you analyze every single little detail by yourself. And there's not really much anybody can say after that that's going to like ever hurt your feelings, because you've already, you know, done it to yourself anyways. So.
Nothing I haven't said 3 inches from the mirror.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, I think too, just playing football is also when you get used to the pressure of having to perform, you know, every single practice you go to is then critiqued by all the coaches, you know, the staff, the GMs or whatever, of like, because they're always looking to replace you essentially.
Yeah. Well, you're an employee,
right?
Technically.
Yeah. So it's, you know, every day is an evaluation. There's never a time that you just get to relax, because there's always somebody knocking on the door to try to take your spot. And so that type of pressure of like, even just in a practice, like just a regular ass practice, there's still pressure of like, I have to perform today at practice. Because they'll potentially, you know, find someone to replace me. And so I'm thankful for that, because it's now, you know, there's not many situations I get into where I'm like nervous. I'm kind of very, very relaxed. And
imagine what Zach Wilson must feel like. Dude, I don't think I've ever seen in my life so much hate towards a player, or really criticism, but it is rooted in hate from reporters, from like panels, from all that, where I'm like, you know, dang, dude, like, it's brutal. I've never seen that happen to a player before.
I think especially in New York, the media is known for being crazy, but you know, I think too, a lot of the younger generation, the younger people, they pay attention to all that shit.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I remember when I was older, like I didn't even have, one of my seasons, I didn't even have any social media. And there was a game where, you know, as the secondary, like there's times where you're just the guy making the play, but it wasn't actually your fault. You were just the last guy there. And so obviously everyone at home, everyone on Twitter, whatever, they just assume it was your fault because you were the guy that was closest. And so I had this young player, and he's like, man, like you got to, like, the people on Twitter are like coming after you. Like, you need to go defend yourself. And I was like, why the fuck do I care about the people at home on Twitter? Like, you know, and so that younger generation, they do, after games, go read all the tweets, all the mentions, all the shit that people say about them, and they like actually let it affect them. I'm like, do you realize that guy who is, or girl, or whoever the fuck it is that's at home tweeting at you, would literally do fucking anything to be in your shoes? They're actually probably just jealous that they're not. And out of all those people that say shit on Twitter, whatever, never out of my 12 years did one person in person ever say anything to me. No. Like, you know, like they're never going to come up to you and say that. They'll only say it. So I'm like, who gives a fuck?
It's where they go to release, man. Social media has, I've talked with Josh about this a few times, where it's created such this delusion of reality for so many people. And it's, you know, this twisted perception where they think that they can just say these nasty things to people with no repercussions. And that's kind of what it's done from sports to, you know, I think it's really kind of created a virus in athletics and sports. I mean, we're seeing it right now with a good example would be, boxing, like Jake Paul and Dylan Dennis. Like, are they even fighting anymore? Like, they're just degrading each other's characters. Like, and they just look stupid doing it, And I just remember when, like if you're building up a fight, it was because these two fighters were great fighters. So you were excited to see them compete against each other. I didn't care how much money they made. I didn't care how many followers they made. My biggest pet peeve right now are people that try to place value on an individual based off their follower count. I think we talked about that once, where I cannot stand when someone's like trying to sell someone on me, that like they either want them to work with me or do some sort of collaboration, and then they go their name followed by they have this many followers, and I'm like, okay. Like, what does that do? Like,
we could do a whole separate podcast about this shit, because I also have had so many dissertations on the following.
Well, here's a good question for you. Do you think that social media and like the delusional perception of reality it's created do you think it's made recruiting harder for coaches and just overall players? Just with. I see these commitments on like ESPN and stuff, the high school, and it's a whole event now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, I think it's affected a lot of things, because I think that people are putting too much value in the following. And so they don't really even give a shit about anything else. They're like, well, if my social following is large, that's a point of validation. Like, I feel like I've left my mark in the world and I've done this and that. And, at the end of the day, I always make a joke is like, so a lot of these like influencer people or whatever are like still struggling to pay rent at their studio 1-bedroom apartment. So like, do you really want to be an influencer? Like, look in the background of that photo that they just posted from their apartment. Like they're not really, they might have all these followers, but like they don't really got it like that. So
yeah, I think it's just because, I don't know. For me, I just would rather be recognized for my accomplishments and accolades versus my, following. I get a lot of people that do like content creation now, and they want to come and help and work. And I'll ask them to show me like what they've done. And everyone nowadays is just recycling things that have already like gone viral. Like there's not even originality anymore. It's just, I'm just going to do what that person did because it went viral. And I'm like, that's such a bad sign. You know? You need creativity in the world, not just recycling others.
Yeah. I mean, probably for them too, they're probably thinking like, let's not reinvent the wheel. Like if this works, like I'm just going to, kind of copy and paste it. But yeah, obviously there's a whole another discussion within the social media realm and how that has affected just kind of the world really in general, about how people how they live their lives, what they value, and it runs a lot of people's lives.
Well, it was stirring things up for a while too, from the social aspect. Like, what do you think of like Deion Sanders? He's shaking things up in the college football world right now.
Right, and that's why and it's funny because these are the types of patterns that make people want to do more outlandish things, because now there's more media coverage. Now there's more this, there's more that, there's more NIL deals. And it's like, it's almost like it creates this, like, well, shit, look what he did. Like if I do something like that, if I post all these crazy videos or do these really crazy outlandish things, then I'll have more following. I'll have more of this, I'll have more of that. And so there is a little bit of that aspect to it. Similar to like a lot of the YouTube people is like, they just went out there and there was not really any talent. It was just, they went out there and made a bunch of like crazy videos and built a large following, which, I mean, basically anybody can do it if you have the balls to.
Yeah. I mean, there's good and bad to it. I thought the part that got ridiculous for me with that whole Deion thing is when he started letting players wear their Instagram handles on their jerseys. And I was like, come on, dude. Like,
yeah,
like,
I think
there is a lot of stuff I like that I find hilarious, but I also like that from just he kind of gets people fired up to watch football,
Yeah, he has a different approach. He's not like your typical head college football coach, like
we're going to play hard and this
old white guy, and I think it's, him relating to this generation the demographic of college football players. And, you know, I think he's kind of realized that it's a good kind of tactic for recruiting. You know, I think there's kids out there now that are like, I'd rather go play for Dion and like get more social media attention, more media attention in general, more NIL deals, like, and I get to fucking play for Deion Sanders. Like,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I think he's tactical with like what he's doing. I think he's aware, because I watched his 60 Minutes interview, and you know they asked him, they're like, who's the best college football coach right now? And you could tell like he can't help it. He's Deion Sanders. He was like, it was like, go give me a mirror, like, you know. But then you can tell at the same time he realizes like, okay, like, I know I'm not actually the best, but like I have to respond that way because I'm Deion Sanders. And then he like goes into, he kind of flips a switch, and you see, and he's like, but I, you know, obviously I have a ton of respect for Saban and like all, and he goes through all the coaches, right? So you could tell he does know how
playing it safe while still giving himself
while still being a Deion, you know, but he still knows like, okay, like I still have to give the actual politically correct answer here. Like that I would literally look crazy if I sat up here and just said like, I'm the best college football coach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he could have and probably still got the same reaction. But yeah, I mean, he's shaking things up for sure. It's been interesting to watch. It's kind of died down now, since it would still be crazy if they were winning. Like, but after that Oregon game, I think that kind of silenced him for a bit.
Yeah.
But you were saying. Today's episode was brought to you by Austin Barbell. More than just a gym, a barbell club. Austin Barbell is open to aspiring athletes of all skill levels. They offer an in-person group format training classes for any skill level. This includes beginners without experience, just beginning strength training, or advanced athletes looking to gain a competitive edge. Austin Barbell's objective is to grow the sport of Olympic weightlifting and make it accessible to everyone. They have a scaled approach to strength training. I've personally seen these athletes in action, and their Ollie lifting strength program is 100% ideal for all athletes, including CrossFit, powerlifting, and bodybuilding. Train alongside national competitors and beginner athletes in a supportive team environment. Austin Barbell has 2 locations in North and South Austin. For more information, go to www.austinbarbell.com or check them out on Instagram at Austin Barbell. Today's episode is brought to you by ReGen Health and Wellness. The team at ReGen Health and Wellness is devoted to helping patients revitalize, repair, and renew the optimal blueprint of yourself. They provide an individualized and concierge model of healthcare, empowering patients to optimize their health span and overall quality of life. It's said no one can escape father time, but almost everyone can make the conscious decision and commit to living better and healthier lives. It begins with a mindset. They offer both in-clinic and telemedicine consultations. So whether you're due for a routine checkup or struggling to hit your health and fitness goals, go online or give them a call to schedule your appointment today. You right out of college, you ended up at the UFL, right?
Yeah.
And so now today we have the XFL and USFL, and they're merging, correct?
I thought I saw something about that the
it's official.
XFL was going to try and maybe purchase the
I think
US,
they did merge.
Did they?
I don't Google it, Josh. On the other one, can you see if that merged? But do you think that like these new leagues and these other ones are going to bust like before? Do you think that it's going to potentially be a threat to the NFL?
It'll never be a threat to the NFL because they don't. They would have to generate. Usually, the problem is they just can't generate enough revenue.
No.
Because it's hard to get people to where we adore the National Football League and the level of play of like, okay, well, here's like a sub level of that's not as good. It's just hard to maximize that without doing some crazy shit like the old XFL used to do, where like that's like the only way
wrestlers.
Like you have to do something crazy if you're just doing normal football, but it's a lower level of football. And that's the thing; these guys, they don't spend all year round together like in the NFL, so it's sloppy ball.
Yeah,
and it's just it's hard to watch.
Crazy rules. I don't like their kickoff. I don't care what people say.
I didn't even. I mean, I barely watched it, but it's those things are just hard to sustain because they don't generate enough revenue.
Yeah.
And then if they ever did, and they could actually pay guys enough, then you could actually start pulling NFL level talent. But it's just there's such a separation there. It would be. I'm not sure how it will ever. I think they'll just kind of continue to cycle through these different formats of the league, and then stay open for a year or 2 or 3. It's just unless they can find a way to, I don't know, somehow generate more revenue by, I don't know.
Yeah, it says they announced intent to merge at the beginning of 2024 season.
Okay. Yeah, well, they also play in the spring, but I wonder, do you think the NFL should just create like a D league, like a minor league? But
I mean, I feel like they've probably gone through that.
Yeah, I guess it is harder than like the NBA because it's way more taxing on physically.
Yeah, I think they've probably the NFL. I mean, they got so much damn money, and they actually, even though we make fun of Goodell, there are some like really smart people within the organization. I think if there was a D League that was like possible, I think they would have already done it.
Yeah.
Especially if there was a way to maximize, like the NFL is they're always looking to maximize revenue. Mm-hmm. If there was a way that it would help, then they would have done it already. But obviously they've probably gone through that analysis. They said, this is not going to fucking make us any money. Like, we'll just let these little leagues like keep trying, but they'll never be the NFL.
It's got to be that the Dana White approach when because he dominates with the UFC, and I saw an interview where they asked him what he thought about these other fight leagues, and he was cool with them. He just said it just helps us, find new talent.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the NFL's like outlook on it.
Yeah.
But since you played safety, which is a very fun position if you like cracking people. But do you think with like all the constant addition to like the contact rules, do you think that the league's starting to get even more soft? I just saw that.
Yes, the league is fucking soft.
Yeah.
I watch football every Sunday, and I mean, most of the time I'm yelling at the TV like, God, these guys are fucking soft. And not the players, like the refs in the league, like obviously the players are still, they're out there playing ball.
Did you watch that Niners-Cowboys game?
I watched a little bit of it.
Niners look good.
Yeah, Niners are balling.
That defense was so fun to watch.
Defense is solid. Shanahan's offense, that offense is, I mean, anytime I've ever played against the Niners, that was one of the teams that when you would study the offense, you still weren't really sure what the fuck they were going to run in the game. And that's always an uneasy feeling, especially for a guy like myself. That was kind of my game, was like I can study hard. I know what they're going to run. I feel like I had a really good memory. I could memorize a lot of shit. And when I would play a team where I couldn't use that and I had to use just my athletic ability, I was a little nervous because that was not my strong suit. So teams like that, anytime we play the Saints with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, like their offense was the same thing. They'd have all this crazy shit. There weren't a lot of tendencies. They would go out there and you just weren't actually sure, so you'd have to react to everything. So you just played a little bit slower.
What was like one of your favorite top 5 memories playing?
Shit. Top 5.
I know it's hard to like. I hate when people ask me like my favorite song is. I'm like, there's so many.
Right.
So it's like,
I mean, I can just rattle them off, but they're not in any particular order. But the Minneapolis Miracle in the playoff game.
Was nuts. Yeah.
That was crazy. Probably my first career interception, my first like actual play.
Who'd you pick off? Your first pick?
Joe Flacco in 2013. It's a year after they won the Super Bowl, and he was the MVP. So he was like still like balling. Yeah. But it was a very snowy day. He just threw like a really shitty pass. So it wasn't anything I did special. But yeah, I would say that my very first NFL play, when I was in Dallas, like this is how naive I was to like anything that was going on. My first ever game was Cowboys-Eagles on a Sunday night game in Dallas, and I didn't even know how big the rivalry was. I didn't know shit about it. I was just out there deer in the headlights, and I was on like a kickoff play, and that's a really long play, the duration, but it felt like it happened in 2 seconds.
Yeah. And
I ran off the field thinking like, holy shit, like this is the NFL. This is so fucking fast. Like I'll never be able to play here.
It's so
I was
awesome.
like, I have no fucking chance in this league. But I would say those are probably, some of my top memories, like all the first, like usual. So
yeah, there was I didn't do much football wise. Like I never really try to claim myself as a football player as far as identities go. But, I rode the bench in high school. Like the whole, how I even got to play ball in any college was crazy. But I remember when I finally got the opportunity, I would always take a minute just to like take it in. Like that was kind of the perks of being older, was I got to appreciate it while it was happening. And yeah, I can only imagine being out there like, what?
Yeah.
That Cowboys stadium was bananas.
Yeah. No, for sure. It definitely like would have moments of just taking a step back and you're like, holy shit, like we're about to play in an NFL game right now. So, I think I always did a good job of, while I was playing, of taking it all in, appreciating it, just playing as hard and as long as I could till it maximize the, what is typically a very short, I think the average is like 2 or 3 years or something like that. So as an undrafted guy that bounced around to the last 12 years, obviously like never got to win a Super Bowl. There's still other things like that. But I think overall, if you would have told me when I was coming out of Rice that I would have played 12 years, I would have said you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And
it's something to be proud of, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And it's funny because the head coach of the Dolphins, Mike McDaniels, he was one of my coaches on the UFL team in 2010. Really? And so he kind of had...
He's so funny to watch.
Yeah. He's just a little...
He's so awkward, but he's
guy,
so
dude.
Smart. Yeah.
I think is he a Yale guy? I think he graduated from Yale.
I don't know.
I think he went to one of the Ivies. He's fucking smart.
I always laugh at that interview where he just takes off running.
Yeah. But so he was one of the coaches on the UFL staff that I guess like they kind of leagues like that like have to like recruit too, like where they have to like go to the pro days and stuff. Typically like coaches aren't always at the pro days. But he was a coach that went to the UFL team and was like, hey, I think we should sign this guy out of Rice. Like, he got hurt his senior year, but like he's been a 4-year starter as like the whole deal. And I just remember we actually in the UFL, we would ride like the yellow dog. We'd ride like a school bus to practice. Like it was like we had to share a hotel room with like another man for the whole season. We had to ride a fucking school bus to practice. It got pretty grimy, but we were sitting on the bus together one day and he's like, man, you're going to play at least 10 years in the NFL. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I hope so, but
I'm
like,
not even in there,
yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, like, sure. And then, I mean, to see him like obviously progress, like we played against each other several times in the NFL after that. He was either on the offensive staff, offensive coordinator, to see him like, 12 years later after that, or 11 years later, whenever he got the head coaching job for Miami, it was just really cool to see, because I was like, damn, that motherfucker called it. Like, he was like, you're going to play a long ass time in this league. And, he obviously had aspirations for himself to become a head coach. And he's been doing that now too. So it was really kind of cool to kind of see that all kind of come together way down the line. So
yeah, he's a mad scientist, man. That guy is a genius. And yeah, it's been cool watching what he's doing with the Dolphins now. Like they look hot.
Yeah.
And yeah, he one of the things I've done out here is do you know or have you met like Nate Boyer?
I have.
So Nate's been a friend of mine for a while now, and he has that nonprofit merging vets and players. But the cool thing behind it is they really focus and emphasize on life after the leagues, and the whole concept is helping guys, post military, post NFL career, or any type of pro career. So, when you kind of decided playing days are done, what was that life like? What was life like acclimating to a life outside of football when that's primarily been your identity and lifestyle this whole time?
Yeah. I would say I handled it pretty well, mainly because for me, the route that I took every year was, I thought like I basically treated every year like it was my last. Once I got to like 4 years, I was like, fuck, like I made it 4 years, like, being undrafted, like that's still impressive. And then 5, 6, and then the whole deal. And once I got to year 10, I was like, okay, this is like a double digits is like fucking insane. I started the year in Philly And then I actually got released and I got picked up back by Minnesota. So I went right back to Minnesota with all the boys, like family, everybody. And so when I went back to Minnesota, I was a 10th year guy. I was no longer the starter when I went back there. I was the third safety. And so going into free agency, I was like, okay, no one's going to want to sign an 11th year old white backup safety. Like, and so I was like, okay, like I got 10 years. Like, I mean, if it ends right now, like I did as much as I could. And basically got a bonus year, signed with Cleveland. I had a bunch of coaches from the staff go to Cleveland. They needed a veteran, to kind of help run the defense. Like when I signed in Cleveland, I knew like one player and I knew 6 coaches. Like I didn't know fucking anybody on the team. And so that was cool because I went there. I knew all the systems. I didn't have to study. Like I already knew everything. So it was like very easy. I was the oldest guy on the team. So you kind of get some breaks here and there. And then same thing, like that season ended and I was like, okay, cool. Like I got a bonus here. And then I signed with Indy in 2021. So I got another bonus here. So basically I got 2 extra years on top of what I thought. And so, 12 was long enough. I had 2 concussions my last year. My last one, like I said, was really bad. I'll send you a video of it. Like I did like a full scorpion. Like I went for the ball and I hit the guy in the side of my head. So I got knocked out while I was like running full speed. So I'm already asleep. And then I also did like a nosedive into the turf and did like a scorpion. So I got like a double whammy. And I was pretty fucked up after that. So, it was one of those things I was like, okay, I'm not paralyzed. I can walk. I had like 8 surgeries in the NFL. So like, I'm still pretty fucked up from like my back surgeries and knee, ankle, groins, all those things. But I was like, okay, I'm still somewhat normal. Like, like I'm happy.
Still intact.
Yeah. Like I can still walk. Obviously there was a lot of the kind of the traumatic brain injury that was still,
those things linger.
Was still there. So I think I got to do a lot of things that I didn't think I was going to get to do. I got to play a long time, got to make a lot of friends, a lot of memories, a couple of personal accolades, a couple of like team accolades. Like I said, the only thing was like I never got to win a Super Bowl. But I think it was just one of those things you're like, man, I've fucking maxed this out as much as I can. And so I didn't really have a lot of, identity crisis of, like, oh my God, like I'm no longer a football player. Like, what am I going to do? I had a lot of kind of side stuff going on. Like I did a lot of real estate stuff while I was playing, a lot of real estate investing, and all different formats. So I had all these kind of different things in the fire. And, I think too, part of, like we talked about with the social media thing and all that, like I took like a 2-year break from social media and didn't have any social media. And so like, I didn't really give a shit if people knew that I played football, didn't know. Yeah. Like I felt like I always had much more to offer than just being a football player. And, I guess it just didn't really affect me if you were like, oh, he's like no longer a football player. I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I just finished playing 12 years in the NFL. Yeah. Like, I don't really care. Like,
I think a lot of it,
like, okay, cool. Like, I don't have 1 million followers. Like, I don't really give a fuck. But, like,
it's the best.
Yeah. So,
no. I think, I think a lot of it is just a validation problem with a lot of guys, whether they went to the league or, there's a lot of dudes that I was in college with that they're still holding on to that identity. And it's because that's all they had success at.
Right. It's I think I'm fortunate to where I have some other kind of side ventures going on that keep me busy. And I think a lot of it comes down to like just not being too prideful and being able to accept like, yeah, like I'm no longer a football player. And I even still like people, they always will consider you a football player. Yeah. But like some people will introduce you and talk to you like as if you're still playing sometimes. And so I always will like correct them. I'm like, oh, I'm no longer a football player. Like I'm retired now. But there's probably guys out there that would love that. Like they love to still be introduced as the football player. And so a lot of times when I meet new people, I don't even fucking bring it up. Like they're like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I have this like brain health supplement company back in Austin. And they always kind of look at you like, oh,
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, but you know, like some people that don't know like health and wellness, they're like, oh, okay, like they don't know
nothing.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, so you're poor, like, you know, that's kind of how they look at you or they treat you. And I don't,
You know what,
even,
though?
I don't even care if they like know or don't know. And so
Yeah.
then like eventually throughout the night, someone will like probably bring it up or something. They're like, oh shit, like you played like in the NFL for 12 years. And then I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why didn't you say that? I'm like, well, you didn't ask me.
Were you going to treat me different?
You asked me what I did.
Yeah.
Like you didn't ask for my bio and my history. Like if I ask you, hey, what do you do? You're not going to go through your whole work history. Like that's
when I was in high school.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, that wasn't the question. You just
Yeah.
asked what I did. I was like, well, I do a lot of shit, but mainly this is what I do.
No, and I love that. You know, I don't want to be around people either that determine if they're going to be nice to me or not based off what my social value is. And, you know, that happens a lot, but that's just today's generation. But,
Yeah.
you know, God, there was, you're saying your last year was at Indy. Actually got a friend that plays for them, Rigo Sanchez.
Oh yeah, the punter.
Yeah, we were at Butte together.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Isn't he from Chico?
Yeah, he's from Chico.
Oh,
That's where,
shit.
dude, I miss Chico. It was the best year of my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, he can kick with both feet. He actually, that year, our team, we went to the junior college national championship. And the week of, Rigo, you'll have to correct me if I mess this up, but I know he like hurt his foot moving. He was like helping his family move. So he had to kick that game with his other foot and he never missed.
Damn.
Dude was,
I didn't know that.
yeah, dude was great. He was always a great
So I was
kicker.
actually I was a soccer player my whole life growing
yeah.
up. And
he was always doing indoor soccer.
yeah, and so I would always like every year I'd go like hang out with the specialist. I'm like, look, I'm just letting you know, like I kicked a 40-yard field goal as a sophomore in high school. So like I have a leg, and I would always just like talk shit to them or whatever. But they probably have heard that a million times. They never took me serious.
Yeah, he was the nicest guy. And
Nice, super nice.
I think the last time I saw him in person, he was playing for Hawaii, and I was at Boise State game, and Boise just it was right after the game ended. I got to go out in the field and chat it up with him. So,
Yeah, no, he's a good dude.
Still
I
dominating.
Got to overlap with him in Indy last year, and so I was actually like on the punt team. I was the what we call the personal protector. So I have to call all the protection and stuff.
Okay.
So like we had to be like basically if the punt got blocked, it was gonna probably be my fault. So like I was like I got you, bro. Like
Yeah.
I've never gotten a punt blocked ever in my life, and we never will. So just like fucking let it rip. We'll be all right.
Yeah, he can boom it. We had this other punter on that team too. This guy from Australia named Jordy Bunn, and God, he could kick. I swear he could kick it like 90 yards. Like, dude just had the biggest leg on him, and yeah, he was because Rigo was our kicker, like kicking field goals and
Right.
stuff. And then we had this punter, but yeah, then Rigo went to Hawaii, and then he just did everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty small world. It's got to be bizarre now watching the game. Like, do you watch it as a fan or do you watch it from like an analytical standpoint?
Yeah, more of analytical, or like I'll just try to call the plays of like where I think the ball's going.
I do the same thing.
Without, obviously if you like watch the film and the tape, you can you'll know the tendencies and know. But there's still so many plays out there that have been run since the dawn of time, and so you can just watch the game and you're like the ball's going right there.
Yeah.
So I've always thought about just like going into bars and just like betting people and like I bet you it's going to be this play and just like kind of hustle some people. But that's always fun, or just kind of seeing how the game is evolving and different things like that. So yeah, I'll try to watch when I can, but I think I'll always look at it through a different lens than probably most, because while you're playing defense, there's all these different inputs that you're taking in before each play, and so you can't ever really break that. Like so when you're watching the game, you're like, okay, it's 1st and 10. They're in this personnel. They're at this part of the field. Like, this guy's lined up over here. Like, what's the score of the game? How much time's on the clock? Like, all these different things. And then you're like, okay, after I've done all that calculating, you're like, okay, now I think it's going to be this type of play. And so I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to break that. But
Yeah, it's a hard thing to unlearn. And so, yeah, I think for me, it's once I kind of got older and a lot of these guys I knew started going into the league and getting drafted or free agents and stuff, I started to kind of look at it more from like an analyst standpoint versus, because I'm from Idaho. Like, we didn't have a pro team. Like, I don't have a favorite team, so I just kind of see who I know who might be playing on a team.
I was going to say, like, what is the pro team that
Nothing.
Like-
Boise State was our pro team. Like,
But usually you'll find the closest team.
I think in Boise, it's a mixture of Denver and Seattle.
Okay.
Like, it's one of those two. Because there's a guy from Boise, Jake Plummer. He was a quarterback for the Broncos.
Yeah.
So he actually went to my high school. But he was, kind of turned a lot of the people there, Bronco fans, who I think a lot were just already there. And then, Seattle's fairly close. A lot of people from Washington moved to Idaho. So
Yeah. I was going to say it's probably just whoever is the better team at that point.
Yeah, there's a lot of Seahawks fans there. There's a lot of Denver fans. Boise's a completely different place now than when I grew up there. So I couldn't even tell you. I'm going there next week, though. So I'll be able to
I don't think I've ever been.
Should go.
I mean, I'm not sure what I would do there.
So it's where bodybuilding.com started. Boise State's out there. They're big. It's a huge wellness state.
Yeah.
Or city. Yeah, there's a...
But they probably were bodybuilding.
He was my neighbor growing up in Boise. Small world.
No shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. The
We actually went to
social
high
life
school
there is
together.
awesome.
It makes sense that bodybuilding.com or kind of bodybuilding wellness because there's nothing else to do probably. So they're like, well, we'll just go lift weights all day.
Dude, there's so much to do. The outdoors is like amazing.
Yeah, outdoor wise, I mean, if you're like a nature person, it's a perfect place for you. Because in the summer, you hit all the trails, camping. I mean,
Right.
everything's around. In the winter, if you like
Tons of
snowboarding,
What's the nightlife like in
You got
in Boise?
4
So
bars.
much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, we got.
You're so full of shit.
Nah, the downtown's condensed. There's so many bars in like a short area, so you can.
There's
bar
more
hop
like
20
5
different
bars.
and
Got it.
It's so there's the everyone's go to
5 bars that you're allowed into.
Yeah, right. Well, there's the everyone's go to is Hannah's. So Humpin' Hannah's is a really popular
Humpin'
bar.
Hannah's?
It's called Humpin' Hannah's. We all call it Hannah's. It's just that old vibey bar that's
Right.
live band every 3 or 4 days out of the week.
Okay.
It's the singer is the owner of the bar. Her name's Rocky
She's
Johnson.
been playing there forever.
She's awesome.
Keeps the overhead down. Just,
She's great, man. I mean, she'll be throwing sex toys out at the crowd, and she gets
Okay.
people fired up.
So there's 4
There's
or 5
so there's
bars.
like Hannah's, then
There's so
there's
many.
what's Bistro called now? It's something else. Then they have China Blue, which I think is now called Strange Love. There's a downstairs under China Strange Love called Roddy's, which is a really fun like country style bar.
Are there any clubs?
China or Strange Love is what it's called now. Is probably
Strange
the
Love?
closest to a club, and
Yeah.
it gets pretty wild. But it's probably the more like club. What was the other one
Yeah.
on 8th? I don't think it's there anymore. No, but yeah, that's
No,
it.
I don't
That's
think
what.
so.
Yeah, if you come out next week, I'll show you. I'm gonna be out. It'd take us 10
I don't know
minutes.
if I'm going to make it to Boise, but if I'm ever there, I'll definitely reach out to see where I could go.
whole family lives there.
Grab a beer or something.
Set him up with Parker.
But the
I
Strange
know a lot of
Love,
brewery owners.
the Strange Love, that's the one that's like underground.
no, Roddy's is underground.
Roddy's
it's
is
under
underground.
Strange Love. Yeah,
Oh.
it's a pretty unique spot. So,
Yeah.
I used to go there and just eat popcorn for hours.
Is it like one of those like peanut bars where you like throw
Yeah,
the,
kind of.
Yeah.
They got a bowl in there. And
I
everything.
forgot about the popcorn. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, but no, yeah, good times. I'll be there next week. My brother's band's playing. It's his birthday. So,
Yeah.
it should be a lot of fun. I think I might have just spoiled the surprise though. Oh well.
Andrew, what's your cocktail bar that you're opening in Austin? What's that called, and when's the opening date?
It's called the Betty, and the opening date is TBD, but we're hoping sooner than later. I just checked in there yesterday, and they're making some progress. But there's always there's a ton of finish out that still has got to get done. But it's right. It's on Rio Grande Street. It's right across from Jay Carver's. It's like the old like Kung Fu.
Okay.
And actually that building used to be a skate shop, like back in like the 80s or 90s or something like
that's
that.
pretty cool.
Blondie's skate shop. So one of the contractors that was working in there was telling me, he's like, yeah, I used to I literally like performed live on that stage right there. So it was like a skate shop. They'd bring in bands and different stuff. So I think that was like kind of more in like the grunge kind of rock era. And so they would bring in bands like that while they were like in the skate shop. So
Are you gonna have music and any live music or anything? Like
probably not live music. Obviously there is like a DJ booth for like vinyl records and stuff, but yeah, you have to come check it out when it's when it's all finished up. So
well,
be,
kind of wrapping things up then, where can people find and get some Braintree?
Yeah, so you can go directly to our website, BrainTreeNutrition.com. If you use code BTN25, you can get 25% off. And like I said, it's, we're just here to try to enhance, preserve, protect brain health and cognitive function, have you feeling better, perform better. And, so go check us out. Let us know what you think. You can find us on socials at Braintree Nutrition. Give us a follow, do the whole deal. We need more of the social validation. So that
we'll post all the links.
Yeah, so that people will take us serious. I mean, it's funny you say that. It's even like from a brand standpoint, like if you don't have a certain following, they're like, oh, well, this brand must not be good. And it's like, well, that's not actually what that means. But
you got anything coming up? Any events or anything you're gonna be up?
Man, so I think the next one we'll be at is the Rogue Invitational. And then other than that, not sure.
TBD.
But, TBD. But I know that one just popped up on us after we spoke. We're just staying busy, man, trying to continue to grow. And, while we're still rolling out, on the back end, more products and, how it goes, all the design, all the shit you got to do behind closed doors that nobody really sees or really nobody knows about, like, how long it takes just to like sometimes move like this fucking icon, like from one part of like from here to over here, or like that word's too big and that word's too small, then you start to like split hairs on different details and you're like, all right, this looks good. Let's just go with it. So, go check us out, BraintreeNutrition.com.
Braintree. Andrew, it's been a pleasure, sir.
Yeah, appreciate it,
We'll
man.
have to run it back here in the future. And we'll put all the links and everything up there. But yeah, we'll definitely have you back out here in the future and we'll do some more fun stuff.
Yeah,
so
appreciate it.
Other than that, Josh, you can take us out.